There have been many times I've considered quitting. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Strong Female Athlete podcast. I have a new studio right now because I just moved into a new home and we're finally getting settled in after so much work the past few weeks. I still have to move my gym in a couple of weeks, which is going to be a whole other thing. But the best part about strength training consistently, and I always preach this to my girls, is it helps you for life activities. So after our move, we did it all of ourselves. It took us 2 days, which wasn't too bad because we were lifting dining room tables, L couches, king size beds. I mean, so much stuff. But the next day after we were finished, I thought I was going to be sore. I thought my neck and back were going to hurt, but I was actually okay. I said to my husband, "Oh my gosh, I feel great. I feel like I could do a speed session right now." So thank goodness for strength training and continuing to still do it because, oh my gosh, it made this move so much easier as well as the aftermath. So today's topic, oh my gosh, I don't have a plan for today's topic because I just really want to speak to you guys from the heart. And recently, I've just been thinking about all of the coaches in youth sports that are currently quitting and leaving the game. And it's really gotten me thinking, what is going on? Why is it happening? And I think it's a multitude of problems. And I've seen a lot of coaches post on their Facebooks or on their Instagrams their departure from youth sports. And it's really sad because there's amazing coaches leaving the game, coaches who their girls loved and respected and who changed their lives and impacted them. Like really good coaches are leaving the game, but even the best coaches are struggling and they're quitting. I know people have their reasons for quitting, and whether you're a coach or a player and you just don't love the sport anymore or you feel like quitting when it gets hard, I really want to inspire you to keep going even during those hard times. And look, I'm not here to judge coaches for leaving the game. I've seen some very bad situations happen, whether it was dealing with politics at the club they were at or dealing with parents who verbally attacked them. I've seen physical stuff happen too. I mean, it's just gotten so out of hand. And I've seen some of my dearest colleagues leave the game, and it really has disheartened me. And I'll be completely honest, I've definitely thought about it at times. Don't worry, I'm not leaving. I am not going anywhere. And we're going to talk about why. But there have been times where I have dealt with very hard situations, whether it was with parents or with other clubs and directors. And I felt, oh my gosh, it would just be so much easier to just give up right here and do something totally different and just not deal with this BS anymore. And I've come close, but I'm not going to quit. I promise you guys that, because the whole point of this conversation is you have to have a deeper why to what you're doing, because when things get hard and you're on the verge of quitting, you return back to your why, and it's so easy to forget your why when problems arise. You just feel like everything's going wrong and you second guess everything you're doing. You wonder if you're even helping people, or if you're a player, if you're a good soccer player or good at your sport. You literally question your entire existence in what you're doing in your craft. And I think sometimes when that happens, you have to really take a pause and come back to your why. And in the past few years, I've had to do it many times, because I would argue the further I get into working with youth girl athletes, the harder my job becomes, because sports has really changed in the past, I would say 3 to 5 years, because we're dealing with early specialization, more overuse injuries, more ACL injuries, more year-round sports models, more parents and pressure on their kids, and more parent pressure on the coaches to perform and to get quick results. I mean, it has gotten so much harder in that sense, but at the same time, I have fallen in love with it more and more each year. So the longer I do this, the harder it gets, but the more I fall in love with it, which is kind of crazy because I really wrestled with this concept and I try to tell my athletes this too. But if you were doing something that was just so easy and there were no problems in the world and everything was always smooth sailing, and you didn't have any challenges come up to really test you and make you better at what you're doing, I think you would get really bored, right? And that's why I feel like as I go through my career more, I love it more and more because there's new challenges and new ways to educate parents and new ways to educate coaches and the people that I work with and the youth athlete of today. I mean, we all can complain about how kids are quote unquote lazy nowadays, but I think that's a cop out. I think us adults really need to put the responsibility on ourselves. Okay, how are we going to navigate the next generation and what they're growing up with, and how are we going to make them better people, better athletes? And I see it as an opportunity. It is challenging, but it's an opportunity to really help our kids and to really impact. And yeah, I just get so sad when I see good coaches leaving the game. And I'm not saying it's not because they don't have a deeper why. I think a lot of them, they might be looking out for their mental health, or they want to spend more time with family and maybe have their weekends back. I mean, coaching is a very demanding career, and coaches want to be able to have their weekends back to be with their kids, to be with their spouses. So I get it. But I think sometimes you have to really look at, okay, why am I in coaching, or why am I an athlete playing my sport? And when things get hard, you have to really return to that. And I want to inspire you with a story that happened a few summers ago where I was very heartbroken with what had happened because it made me question, am I really helping people? Are people really understanding the message? And I just started second guessing everything I was doing. And yeah, I definitely considered doing something else. But a few summers ago, I was preparing to run my young ones camp. So my 9 to 12-year olds, we do very different things in our speed and agility sessions. And as you have probably heard on the podcast before, it's a lot of speed and agility games that are gamified. They're fun, they're stimulating, they get the kids thinking a lot. And it's not so, okay, here are your running mechanics and super robotic, and you're going to go to this cone and then come back to here. And it's not like that at all. I don't do that with my young kids because it's not good for their development. It's not good for their brains. It doesn't transfer to their sport where they have to constantly think on the field. So I don't do it for those age groups. And also, I'd argue for a lot of my older girls, we also do fun games as well because every athlete needs to learn how to think in a spontaneous setting. So anyway, I was preparing for camp with my 9 to 12-year-olds, and every summer I sit down, I write an entire curriculum, and I really take the time to prepare games that are going to work on certain physical qualities, whether it's speed, agility, balance, body weight strength, spatial awareness, reactivity. And I really sit down and come up with games and different tasks that they can do. So, different tag progressions, different mirror drill progressions, crawling races, tug of war for upper body strength. So, I really think through my curriculum. So I finally finished the curriculum, and it was actually my first time running this camp. I moved to Florida, and it was my first time putting on my young ones camp for all my new clients in Florida. And I had about 12 girls sign up for the camp, and I was just so excited for the first night. I put together goodie bags with protein bars and little bracelets that said work hard, be kind. And I was just really excited to just deliver such a great camp for these young girls and just make it a great experience. So, just to give you a backstory of just how much work goes into it to really put on a camp that attacks all the physical qualities we want to train, but most importantly, a camp that is fun and they're learning healthy habits and nutrition for a lifetime. So, you would think that after the first night, parents would be really excited about something like that. But I had a mom who had emailed me in anger the day after, just the first night of the camp. We only did one session. And she said to me, this camp was not what I expected. We wanted ladder drills. We wanted sprint mechanic drills. We wanted running form. And again, these are 9 to 12-year-old girls. We're eventually going to work on those things once they graduate my young ones program. But right now, I want them to have fun, get a variety of movement, be stimulated. And she was not happy with that. So I think she just had her own, to be fair, and in her defense, I think she had her own perspective of what my camp was going to be. And of course, maybe I could have done a better job at being more transparent in my marketing. And now I am. But I just assumed that parents knew how we train this age group. So I do put the onus on myself for maybe making that mistake up front. But this mom wasn't happy. And then another mom wasn't happy. And then they told another mom on their team, even though this other daughter didn't go to the first session, they had told her teammate what had happened, that it was all fun games. And so a third mom was really pissed off too, even though she wasn't even there. So all the moms were like talking. And then I get requests for refunds. And I was like, look, I try to explain to them why I do what I do for the young age groups, but they were just not having it. They were really angry. They had a certain expectation going in. And I ended up being like, all right, I'm going to cut my losses. I'll refund you guys. And it was a little over $1,000 in refunds. So pretty substantial amount. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to refund them. It's totally fine. I'm still going to really focus on the core group of girls that are in this camp and really get them better this summer. Make sure we have a great summer. Make sure we have fun. And the core group did. And it ended up being amazing. But I will say, after those complaints, my heart was broken because it's just so frustrating as a coach when you prepare so much on the front end, writing the curriculum, making sure these games reflect the skills we want to get out of the drill, making sure that girls first and foremost leave the session smiling and talking about it in the car. Like, so much preparation went into the camp, and then the goodie bags with the protein bars and the nutrition and teaching good habits, that these are things that like some coaches don't even do. Like, a lot of coaches don't even do nutrition behavior change. And I just felt like I went above and beyond, and I always try to with my athletes. It's more than just the training session. I want to teach them about other things and good life habits. And I just got mad because I had prepared so much, put so much work and thought into it. And then you have three angry moms like pissed off about all that. And you're just like, what the heck? So it really was gut wrenching for me. It bothered me for a few days because it made me question, oh my gosh, should I like just deliver some sort of revolutionary advanced speed session to appease these people and try and make everyone happy? But then again, I would be going against my philosophy and not leaving the impact I want to leave on the younger generations and the impact for teaching parents long-term athletic development and the different processes of training and what the young ones are going to start with, which is the foundations, and then eventually graduating on to more of those advanced sprint mechanics drills and heavier strength training. So it made me question at first, and it made me think, man, coaching is so freaking hard. It makes me so mad sometimes. But then I was like, I can't please everyone. And I always like to say to other coaches now, if you want to please everyone, then don't get into coaching, right? The truth is, for me, I realized that my philosophy and my messaging is very different than what a lot of parents, especially of young ones, are being blasted with on social media. So I realized I'm up against all of that. But no matter what, I'm staying true to my philosophy because, again, it's coming back to my why. My why is to impact the next generation of youth, to make sure they go through a long-term development pathway based on age and maturity level, and to make sure they stay healthy first and foremost. But also, most critically, make sure they have fun at the younger ages, because losing that joy for sport and that just joy for exercising and movement, that's why kids quit doing these things. That's why kids quit sport. That's why they don't stick to workout programs when they're in their 30s, because they develop a bad taste in their mouth towards training if it's not fun young. And that's why I just focus so much on that fun factor at those young ages, because I don't think parents are thinking about the long-term repercussions of training being such an obligation and so much pressure for the under 12-year-old ages. it's not going to end well. And usually those are the girls that stop exercising when they're older, or they can't stick to like weight loss programs or be healthy in their 30s, 40s, and 50s because they just hate exercise at that point. And I really want to impact young girls because I've seen the power that movement and strength training has had, not just for my sport. I think sport performance is just the added bonus, but I'm talking about life. And coming back to my move these past few weeks, I mean, moving is hard, but I was excited about it. I was like, heck yeah, let's lift this dining room table. Like, let's overhead press it into the home. Like, let's go. And it was just really cool because if I had been weak and sedentary, oh my gosh, that move would have taken longer. I would have been miserable that day. I would have been yelling at my husband and probably the crankiest person to be around, but it made it a lot easier. And that's really what I want to share with girls. I just want them to love exercise and to love strength training. That is my why. And I fell in love with movement when I was a young kid. Like when I was under 12, we were playing a lot of these similar games. We were playing dodgeball, we were playing tag, we were doing tug of war and wall ball and foursquare. And I know what the way society is now, a lot of kids just don't get out and do those things. So as a performance coach, I'm trying to give that to them within the sessions because it develops that foundation of athletic skills they need to not get overuse injuries or to not get a catastrophic ACL tear that manifests in high school or college. I want to work different muscle groups and develop different motor skills and balance and coordination, but in fun ways. So instead of telling a kid to just do like a march, like sprint mechanics, oh, your hand goes here or your leg goes here or drive that knee up, I'm doing an all out speed race. Sometimes that elicits more of a knee drive than me telling them to do it. So I think there's an art to coaching young kids because you have to really think about, okay, what's this drill working on and how can I make it fun? How can I give them a task where they have to problem solve and use their brain and just make it this bang for buck drill within a session? And man, I would say 2 summers ago that was really tough for me as a coach, but again, I'm not going anywhere, you guys, because I truly fall in love with coaching female athletes more and more each year because it gets harder. It gets harder to communicate the right messaging to parents. It gets harder to communicate to youth because they're growing up with technology and society's really changing. But I love that challenge. And I think the challenge, it gives you purpose and it gives you something to fight for. I had a girl a few weeks ago who we do hangs in our gym. And hangs are the exercise that everyone says are the hardest because it's a lot of upper body strength, it's a lot of grip strength as well. And this one girl was failing time and time again at the hang. I was trying to get her to go for 30 seconds and she was barely making 15 and she was getting frustrated. She kept slipping off the bar and she started to tear up a little bit. And I said to her, I said, "You're going to get this, but it's going to be a fight. And if it weren't a fight, would it be fun to work towards?" And she goes, "Yeah, you're actually right. If this came easily and I was able to do this all the time, it would just get boring." And I was like, exactly. You kind of want to have a little bit of a fight because when you eventually overcome that fight, that's where confidence comes from. That's where purpose comes from. So I just wanted to hop on here real quick and just remind everyone, if you feel like quitting, if you feel like things are getting hard, come back to, why am I doing this and what am I fighting for? So maybe you're a soccer player and you're getting frustrated because time and time again you are making mistakes in games, or you're feeling like you're in a playing rut. Come back to your why. Why are you playing? Are you playing for your teammates? Are you playing because you just love the game? Is the game worth fighting for you? And do you have that passion behind it? So keep working at it. Don't quit. And when you feel like quitting, come back to your why. And what do you want to get out of this? What impact do you want to leave? So thank you guys for listening. I know it was a little bit deeper of an episode, but I just wanted to speak from the heart today because I just see so many coaches quitting the game now. I see a lot of girls quitting the game because they're no longer having fun or feeling like they're being challenged. And I think that's why that fun component's so key young, because when you have fun with exercise and with sports young, then you develop that true passion for it, right? And then when you get older and the stakes are higher and more challenges and failures come up, you're more likely to plow through them because you developed that passion young. And it wasn't forced on the kid when they were young, or training wasn't seen as this obligation, or it wasn't too high pressure young. And that's why I always have to stick to my why and my philosophy. It has to be fun at the younger ages, and we have to develop that passion. So thank you again, guys, for listening. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I love working with female athletes, and I just want to keep spreading my message the best I can. And I've learned to be okay with not everyone's going to resonate with my message, and that's fine too. I'm going to stay true to my philosophy and help the people who I can. And oftentimes, people do come back around. I've had that happen a few times where, and I hate when this happens, where people don't listen to me and then their daughter gets an overuse injury and then they come back and they're like, oh my gosh, we should have listened to you. And I hate when that happens, but at least they came back around and they figured it out soon. So I encourage you to really find the right messaging on social media and just to sift through the noise. I'll link an episode below so that you can check out. I did it with Sam Portland on how to find the right trainers for your child's development and where they're at in their journey. So thank you all again, and I'll see you next time.